Am I the asshole, AWTA, because we don't want my husband kids with us? This is a long story. My 35M husband, 37M, married to a woman when he was in his early 20s, mostly because his conservative family expected him to do so, and at the time, he thought he would never come out of the closet. Nevertheless, 4 years later, when she was pregnant with their second son, eldest daughter was barely 3, he couldn't take it anymore and told her his real orientation. The scandal was big. He was shunned from both families and had to literally escape to a city on the other side of the country, my city by the way. My husband spent years trying to keep contact with his ex, trying to be involved with the kids and pay child support, but her hate, which I find understandable, was so big that she didn't want anything to do with him, and she didn't want the kids to even know him. We had been together for some months when he got a mail from a lawyer that actually asked for him to surrender his parental rights so that his ex's new husband could adopt the kids. He is not good with confrontation, and by this point he had already accepted that he had lost his kids, so he signed the papers. This was 7 years ago. Since then, we have made our own life. And honestly, is a very good one. We both have good paying jobs we like, we have a lot of free time, we travel around the world, we have 3 beautiful dogs, a good apartment. Call it the trauma, but he doesn't want kids and nor do I, and here is the problem. Recently, both his ex and her husband died, not really sure what happened, and her sister, the aunt of the kids, got the custody. She doesn't want them, and it seems no one in the family does. Nor his ex's, not his own, not the one of the new husband. According to my husband, is not out of malice but because they don't have money and they have their own kids to attend to. So, the aunt wanted to return the kids to their biological dad. We contacted our lawyer and to put it simply, we can refuse. There is no legal obligation, and while my husband could use his bio status to recover the paternal rights, there is no way they can force him to do it. We sent our answer and the storm came upon us. Online bullying, hateful phone calls and messages, all from the kid's family. The main idea is that he is a deadbeat and a horrible human being for leaving his children, especially when we have all the resources to do so. On our side, well, it's sad they are now orphans, but we are speaking about a 10F that doesn't remember his face and a 7M that never met him, both going through a very difficult loss and in no way fit for moving to a new city far away from everything they know. Even if we wanted kids and were willing to entirely change our lifestyle for them, they are the worst option I can imagine. We are both on the same page here, but the constant attacks, that we have managed to partially stop, has made our mind uneasy. So that's why we came here to ask if we are really being the assholes in all of this. Everyone sucks here except for those poor children. Your husband sucks for marrying someone and fathering children under false pretenses and then walking away from his kids. He should have fought to stay in their lives from the beginning. His ex sucks for vindictively cutting him out of the kids' lives. All the families suck for abandoning 2 kids whose whole world had been turned upside down. You for describing 2 kids that lost everything as the worst option I can imagine, fit having children. I hope those kids find someone who gives a damn about them. I am not even getting into this situation. This needs more than Reddit advice. Good luck in whatever you chose. Not the asshole. So they cut him out, threw him out, stole his children away from him, and now that they need his money, because, mind you, they don't give 2 fucks nor even one about your life, they want to throw away the kids to a complete stranger they have no memory of because it's convenient? Fuck them. I hope the kids will get adopted by a loving family that will want them. Edit. By the way, they're not his kids anymore, given the same entitled family bullied him 7 years ago to give them up to adoption. He is a deadbeat all right, because they beat him up 7 years ago. I was all ready to say that YTA, and this is a reasonable definition of deadbeat dad. Except for this bit. He got a mail from a lawyer that actually asked for him to surrender his parental rights so that his ex's new husband could adopt the kids. He had already accepted that he had lost his kids, so he signed the papers. That changes everything. Not the asshole. And that's without going into the hate, and had to literally escape part of this. I am not sure what else your husband could have done. He can hardly be blamed for taking the least bad from a bunch of awful choices. Reading this breaks my heart and I feel so bad for these kids. This is above AITA. It's as impossible to do this on here. There is too much at play and too many lives to be affected. This will have long-lasting impact on everyone's lives and needs to be handled carefully with consideration and lots of thought. What I think you should do: I first off go see a therapist and explore all the emotions at play, both yours and his children. 3 years ago he did something that he thought was best for them. How will he feel if he doesn't take them in 10 or 20 years? Will this eat him and you up? I would take time, speak to a professional, and make sure you full explore the emotional impact of any decision before saying yes or no. End of the day, the kids and you are innocent. My heart breaks for those poor kids who probably feel pretty abandoned and unloved. They didn't turn their backs on their dad, he just gave up because he doesn't like confrontation. Am I the asshole for asking girlfriend to rehome her dog? So I live, or should I say lived, with my girlfriend and our 2 children. One of our children was from one of her previous relationships, while the other is my biological daughter. I bought the house we lived in before I ever met her. Shortly after we'd moved in together, my girlfriend decided that she wanted a dog. I wasn't against the idea, since I don't hate dogs, and if having one would make my girlfriend happier, then I was on board with it. She eventually settled on getting an American Bulldog. I'll be brutally honest in saying that I didn't realize how much work would go into owning one of these dogs, and I don't think my girlfriend did either. The dog was constantly chewing furniture, peeing in the house, etc., which I am aware is normal dog behavior. However, the dog was extremely protective of its belongings around me, which frightened me to say the least. However, my girlfriend told me that the dog would not be going anywhere. Last week, while my girlfriend was at a diner with the kids and one of her friends and her kids, the dog began refusing to let me enter the kitchen. Once the dog had finally fallen asleep, I snuck into the kitchen. The dog must have heard me and immediately ran into the kitchen and stood directly next to me, with this angry look in its eyes. I managed to get out of the kitchen, but I've honestly never been so scared in my life. When my girlfriend got home, I told her what had happened and suggested rehoming the dog, which she didn't seem to take seriously. Later that day, I showed my girlfriend a website, which you can rehome pets on, since I didn't want to take him to a shelter, since I wouldn't want the dog to be euthanized. Upon showing my girlfriend the site, she became enraged. In short, she told me the dog was going nowhere, and told me to leave the house. After I refused to leave, she called the police, who told me that since one of the children is her biological daughter, I had to leave. At present, I'm currently in a hotel, since my parents live too far away for me to go to them. I've been begging my girlfriend to let me come back, but she refuses. I saw a Facebook post made my girlfriend recently, where she called me out for giving her an ultimatum. Practically all of the posts are praising her for how she acted, as well as finding enjoyment in the fact that I am currently homeless. Despite this, I'm wondering if I went too far by trying to rehome the dog. Am I the asshole? Edit. When I mentioned the peeing and chewing as being normal dog behavior, I meant it in the context of a new puppy. We managed to train the dog out of this. Edit number 2. When I said that I didn't realize how much effort would go into an American Bulldog, I wasn't that we didn't train the dog. The dog has been trained. I was trying to express how I didn't realize how bad the puppy stage was going to be, despite my research. I've seen a lot of comments saying I didn't train the dog, when that is not the case. Dude, it's your house. Get a lawyer and get her and her dog out of your house and ask for custody of your kid. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I personally never understood why people get breeds like American Bulldog yet don't put in the effort to socialize them. This is primarily a failure on mostly your girlfriend, and honestly on your end, for not properly training and socializing the dog. To put it bluntly, your girlfriend got too much dog for her to handle, and the best thing to do, especially for an American Bulldog that is showing aggressive behavior, is to rehome the dog with someone who can socialize and normalize the dog. Because I'm telling you, from what you described, it's not if, but it's a matter of when this dog attacks someone. Not the asshole. Your girlfriend needs to step up and put more effort into training her dog. Having a large, territorial dog like that which neither of its owners can really control is a recipe for disaster when you add naturally curious and explorative small children into the mix. YTA, because you make no mention of training attempts or behavioral attempts. Jumping to rehoming without actually any attempt to remedy the issue is not okay. Not the asshole. Your girlfriend is a Class A YKW. Kicking you out of your own house? I would call animal control and let them deal with the dog, and then get yourself a good lawyer and kick her to the curb. 2 adults with kids both approved getting a dog, and neither of you Googled the basics in dog training, and it's a big solid dog? You're both in the wrong. It's not normal for dogs to constantly pee and destroy stuff beyond puppyhood that happens when you're not managing the dog's needs. I bet you bought a breed from a backyard breeder and didn't get the dang thing fixed, either. If you want to salvage the relationship, you need to get a dog behaviorist in on this. Your dog is doing a thing called resource guarding, and it can be dangerous, but it's also something that can be corrected. 99% of dog training is teaching the human what to do. Not the asshole, but your girlfriend sure is. Every dog owner should know that dogs need to be properly trained. Since she wanted the dog and convinced you to have one, the dog is her responsibility. If she can't properly train and handle the dog, resulting in aggressive behavior, then she doesn't deserve to own them. However, I would like to make the point that the dog is innocent in all regards. It is not their fault that they were brought up without proper boundaries. In saying this, no matter what happens, please make sure the dog is safe. Not the asshole. If the dog is putting you in a dangerous situation, then you shouldn't have to live with that, and your girlfriend should have been more understanding. Sounds like you need to get lawyers involved and get your house back. Am I the asshole for not wanting Syl to have her own dedicated space in our house? So my wife and I got married 2 years ago, and have known each other for around 5. I'm an introvert that likes to have his own space, while she's more of a social butterfly. While she is introverted, she also has those bouts of wanting to heavily socialize. I've never hidden the fact that I don't like to see people for long periods of time, and she even likes to tease me about it, calling me cave demon. So I doubt she's taken aback by that fact. And #X200B. For the last 2 years we haven't had many problems. We lived in a relatively small house, but if she wanted to see people she was more than welcome to invite them over. And #X200B. In that house, we had 2 upstairs bedrooms. One of them was my office. This arrangement was only made because when she does have people over I can just go in that room and not be bothered, as well as sometimes I talk loudly when on voice chat with either coworkers or teammates while playing video games or working, so I also avoid bothering her friends and family members when they're over. And #X200B. Well, we moved a month or so ago and apparently that changed. We've barely had 1 weekend to ourselves and her family and friends keep coming over, sometimes staying overnight. And #X200B. This is particularly the case with her sibling, early 20s, F. To give you some perspective, in the last week, she was over 3-4 days out of 7. She is very helpful. While I do appreciate her help, my wife now made a specific space for her, with desk, chair, etc. in our basement, which is next to her desk and also next to my office, and went as far as prepare a whole bedroom just for her. While I did call her out saying that I don't think it is fair to designate a full bedroom just for her sister while we only have 3 bedrooms, one of them being my office, she said, any guests could use it, but has made the mistake of calling the room her sister's room multiple times already, and wants to buy a new mattress and everything else for it, and I would have to pay for half of it. While money is not an issue for us, I told her I was not comfortable with this arrangement, not because I don't think her sister is helpful or nice, but because it's our house and, last time I checked, she doesn't help pay our mortgage, so why should she get to have a room designated just for her? This seems insane to me. And #X200B. I do also agree that while she is over, she doesn't bother me and I am very antisocial, so my perspective on this may be skewed. And #X200B. After talking about it again, her answer to this was that okay, well I get to have my office, so she can have a second desk, and that if the laptop, monitor, keyboard, etc. was a problem, that she was gonna tell her sister to give it to her so she could claim that they were actually hers and not her sister's, so it shouldn't bother me anymore. My answer to that was to simply tell her, okay, let's see how long our marriage lasts then. And #X200B. So Reddit, am I the asshole here? Not the asshole. She is moving her sister in piece by piece. First it is that she is visiting, then staying over a couple days a week. Now she is there a majority of the time and she has her own desk, laptop, monitor and keyboard. Your wife wants to buy her a new bed. You kind of expressed your right to have input on who lives with you, and your wife DC'd it was better to use subterfuge instead of asking if her sister could move in directly, because she knows you don't want that. You would just wake up one day and all her sister's stuff would be in your house and you now have a permanent roommate. So not cool. Not the asshole. This is your home, she has basically moved another person in without your consent. You need to figure out what has changed and why she thinks that's appropriate. This is not normal, nor should you sit back and let it happen. I really think you need a long conversation and possibly marriage counseling. Not the asshole for being alarmed at the duration, frequency, and nature of your SILS visits. More than the total hours, what stuck out to me was her desk and computer setup living at your house. That's a bit excessive. But you sound conflicted about this. You go out of your way to say she doesn't bother you when she's there. And yeah, if this is just you getting pissed about how the square footage of your home is allocated, then you could be ta. I think you really need to get your thoughts in order about what you are objecting to. If you sound this conflicted when you talk to your wife, she's going to be as confused as you seem to be. Telling your wife you don't want your SIL to move in is completely reasonable. Telling her you want your guest room to see other people is a bit petty. Is this about the room or is this about the visitors? It's okay to not want someone staying at your house 180 days out of the year. But make the argument about that, not about what goes in the room. Info. You mentioned in a comment that your wife mentioned her sister possibly moving in to escape her parents. Why does your SIL need to escape her parents? Is it an abuse situation? Not the asshole, you never agreed to have her sister move in. That said, you need to sit down and set some firm boundaries about how often her sister comes over and how long she stays, because I don't see this getting any better and I certainly wouldn't want another adult moving into my house, even part-time, without my consent. Not the asshole. I would absolutely consider divorce if counseling wasn't an option. She basically moved her sister in. Not the asshole, but I would of course talk to your wife. The SIL may not feel comfortable with what she's doing either. If she's sleeping over, it might be a good time to evaluate if your wife is just calling it her room but your SIL is going home. It may just be your wife. Hard to tell. Am I the asshole for accidentally revealing two teenage girls' plans? Tons of details left out. We'll clarify stuff in the comments if needed. I, 22F, work at a movie theater. About 10 minutes before a show, a teenage girl came up and looked very stressed. Approximately this is what was said. Teenage girl. So I have 5 tickets. I want to scan all of them. 3 guys are coming in later. So can you just let them in? Their bus isn't here yet. Me. Oh, that should be fine. The movie doesn't start for another 10 minutes due to ads. TG. No, I want to scan all of us in now. Me. Okay, I'll try and remember, but there's a chance I go away from here and a coworker takes my place. So we'd really prefer it if you scan the tickets when you're all here. TG. No, I can't do that. They're getting late, so I have to do it now. Me. Okay, fine. She scanned all 5 tickets, no problems, and then instead of entering, she walked away. Chalking it up to the girl not understanding what I was telling her, I let her go. Maybe 5 minutes later she shows up with 2 adults and a girl. I'm very confused since she'd had 5 tickets, not 4, and she'd said, the guys, in Swedish. She used the word, killarna, which is specifically gendered male, so I found it hard to believe the parents were, the guys. Killarna also implies younger guys. They don't try and come inside, they just stand having a heated discussion. I don't pick up what's being said. I'm checking people in when 3 guys comes up, aged around the girl's age. They awkwardly go, I think someone came and scanned us in? The girl who was standing behind them, not seeing the guys. I let them in. I don't really have a reason not to. The tickets were checked and legit, it was just a question of whether they knew where to go. So the girl is having a heated discussion with the parents, and so I think, okay, she probably didn't see that the guys are here. So I walk up to them, specifically the girl, and I say, hey, so I think the guys, killarna, you were talking about are here, and they're on time. The girl stares at me wide-eyed and shakes her head, and I can see the parents' face grow red. And I realize what's happening. Obviously, one of the sets of parents of the girls were not okay with them going to the movies in the company of 3 guys. Please believe me, I know that I'm guilty of being slow. That's not under discussion. I'm embarrassed as all hell. In my defense, I was so sure the issue was that the girl was afraid the boys would miss the movie, and herself by extension. Younger people sometimes assume we don't let people into the movie after the movie's started, like the theater does, so I thought that was the issue. Had the girl explained the issue, I would have tried coming up with a solution. Coworkers have even said I'm not the asshole and should have blown their cover, but my friends don't agree, and think I should have realized the situation. Heck, I was young once too. So, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You're not a mind reader, and you're an employee of the theater. It's not your job to help teenage girls with their sneaky plans to meet boys. Not the asshole at all. You tried to do your job, you have no way of knowing what their situation is. You didn't do anything wrong. Nah. Teenagers gonna teenage. No idea why the plan was so convoluted though. If the guys just bought their own tickets and made sure they entered the theater so parents didn't see them. Like just normal people going to a movie. The girl overcomplicated the whole thing and she got burned, but that doesn't make her an asshole. Just a normal teenager. Not the asshole. If she had a sneaky plan then needed you to help out, she should have explained it better. That being said, it's not your job to help her being sneaky. She got caught and can only really blame herself. Not the asshole. Not covering for some dumb teenage bullshit isn't your responsibility. Especially when the situation wasn't clear to you into the end. How could you know when you didn't have the whole story? Even if you did know, and still blew their cover, you're still not the asshole. It's no different than telling teenagers you won't buy them beer. Not your problem. Not the asshole. Whatever they were running wasn't your responsibility, the tickets were. Not the asshole, seems more like poor planning on her part. Would it have been cool if you picked up on it? Sure. But you're not the asshole for not knowing what someone was trying to do. Not the asshole. You weren't actually trying to ruin the girl's plans, and quite simply it's not your fault you approached her and made a reasonable comment about the other people you thought she was meeting being there, etc. The girl in question will need to get a bit smarter in future as she wants to fool her parents.